Brazil is bigger than Europe and the contiguous United States, yet it seems like this shouldn't have happened. Although facing similar problems and both being very diverse, Spanish America splintered into 18 different countries while Brazil stayed united. What's even more shocking is that Brazil used to only look like this. So how did it expand to become the behemoth of a country it is today, and how did it stay united throughout it all? Back in 1494, Spain and Portugal divided the world amongst themselves with the signing of the Treaty of Tordesillas. Spain would get most of the Americas, except for this tiny sliver that would go to Portugal. The Portuguese couldn't properly sail around Africa without entering into Spanish waters though, resulting in this line being set back, unknowingly giving Portugal this chunk of South America. Yet, if you look at a map today, Brazil extends much further west than this line. So what caused Portugal to break this treaty? Well, for a while, they didn't cross this line since the only lucrative thing they could find to extract was sugar, which grew best along the coast. This wasn't for want of trying though. Portuguese sailors saw the riches that Spaniards were finding and they wanted in. A group of explorers called the Bandeirantes went far inland, searching for precious metals and natives to enslave. It wasn't until the 17th century that a significant amount of gold was discovered, sparking a rush of inland migration. After the rush died down, settlers turned to agriculture and cattle ranching. The destructive way the settlers used the land caused many of those on the coast to increasingly find productive land hard to come across, forcing them further inland. Missionaries also played a role, but it was predominantly this extractionist mindset that drove Brazilian expansion beyond this line. While the line wasn't strictly enforced, Spain still wasn't happy about this, and so the two countries went back to the negotiating table. The result was the 1750 Treaty of Madrid, which made the Treaty of Tordesillas obsolete. Now uti possidetis was the law of the land, meaning the land that you controlled was officially yours. This greatly disadvantaged Spain, since Portuguese settlers had long been encroaching on its land. So why would Spain agree to this? Well, Spain knew Portugal would just continue to expand into its territory, so establishing a clear border would stop this and allow increased stability and control over its territory. Yes? Oh, thank you. Okay, let's see here. Oh, hey, Spain, your colony's on fire. Yeah, so after Napoleon took over Spain, the Spanish colonies seized the opportunity and started declaring their independence. And even though Portugal was also taken over by Napoleon, I'd say this was actually the biggest reason why Brazil stayed united. You see, Napoleon's invasion forced the Portuguese king, João, to flee to Brazil. During his 13 years there, he centralized authority and elevated Brazil from a colony to a kingdom. The monarchy cooperated with the elites, and in turn the elites liked the monarchy and liked the stability they brought. All this meant that by the time King João had to return to Portugal, everyone across the country looked to the monarchy for power and authority, unifying the nation. Though King João's son, Pedro, declared Brazil's independence just a year later, unlike the Spanish colonies, this move only brought the country closer together. Pedro was hesitant at first, but he ultimately listened to the Brazilian people and declared independence. An unhappy Portugal tried to take it back over, but this only strengthened Brazil's unity as everyone now had a common enemy. In contrast, Spain was less sympathetic to its colonies, fueling resentment. While Brazil had an itch for independence, it gradually gained autonomy over time. Meanwhile, Spanish America's resentment grew until it exploded into chaotic revolts that swept the entire continent. Spain couldn't really do anything since their leaders were imprisoned by Napoleon, and Napoleon's brother, the new leader of Spain, was seen as illegitimate. Unlike Brazil, the thing that splintered Spanish America the most was that it was already kind of divided. Administrative boundaries already broke up Spanish America, but to take it a step further, Spanish rule was more decentralized, meaning local leaders had more control. Unity was made even more difficult since their economies were tied more to other parts of the world than to each other. After its independence, Brazil grew a little bit more, with the most notable change being Accralate, which was taken from Bolivia for its rubber. By the early 1900s, Brazil's border had solidified, creating the vast country we know today. You know what also started out very small? Russia. But it's now the biggest country in the world, and by a long shot. So click here to see how that happened, and thank you to my members and to you for watching.